There are a lot of them that we never saw, but we met through stories. Professor Joel Adedeji, I met through stories. Professor Dakbo Adelugba, I didn't meet him in the department because he'd already retired. But I know that I had a family that I was friends with at Old Bodija. He lived next door in the same compound with them just shortly before he died. And very impressive stories. Dr. Yes, yes. We have Dr. Femi Fatoba, most of blessed memory too. Uncle Bayo Dune. Now, let me talk about those ones we didn't meet first. The stories we heard about them were stories, one, of excellence, then stories of non-conformism. They didn't conform to the natural order. They just did what is nice. They just did what they thought is okay for their conscience. I'll give you an example. That Professor Dakwa Adelugba never bought a car. Now, that's what I heard. And truly, I've not seen him with a car. And I said, does this man not have a car? He said, well, somebody can come and drive me. Now, I don't know whether he bought this car in his younger days, but I know that in his older days, he didn't have a car. People needed to come and pick him from. And then he had people always ready to come pick him, take him to wherever he wanted to go. That shows the level of usefulness, the level of them. And I did hear that if Professor Dakwale Luga said, what is theater? And you now answer the question by saying, musical theater is a theater of song and music. Now, take note that the question is, what is theater? Not what is musical theater. Now, it will mark that your musical theater answer. Now, those are some of the myths. Let me call them myths and stories, because I didn't experience it. It will mark it. It will say, that is what you know. So it will now mark it and score you with it. That's a very magnanimous lecturer. I won't do that, So it shows kindness. Now, then some stories about the late Dr. Femi Fatoba, two stories particularly. One, of a strict, unbending nature, stickler for principles to a fault, almost. Now, there's a story I heard. There's someone who had 39, which is a borderline mark. Now, the person was going to graduate, but he has this carryover from Dr. Femi Fatoba. And the whole department now appealed to him and said, look, can you just move this guy up 1 mark to 40? And he said, okay, no wahala. And all of them clapped for him and they thought, oh, that was it. And he said, however, I require you to do one thing for me. You are going to have to go to the market to buy me something. And when you get to the market and you find this thing, no matter how much it is, buy it, I'll pay for it. And they said, oh, what? He said, that's 1 mark. You want me to add to 39 to make 40. If you can get that mark from any market and you can buy it, just tell me whatever amount it is, I'll pay for it. Now, that was a pointer that he's not going to add the 1 mark. And so the person had a carryover, therefore had an extra year because the person was in the finals. Now, 2 questions. People will say, was he rigid? Can't he be kind? Is it wrong for the poor man to stick to the principles of life? Now, is it wrong also for him to be nice a little? So it means we had people who, this taught me one thing, that the good of men is also their bad. What makes up for their strength is what makes up for their weaknesses.